Welcome everybody, and today we're taking a look at a new limited edition Blu-ray release from Arrow Video, and it is 1973's The Outfit. So this is directed by John Flynn, who also did the really rather great effort Rolling Thunder. He'd also do one of the few films starring Steven Seagal that is actually any good, in the form of Out for Justice, and he'd do the underwhelming Sylvester Stallone film Lock Up. So this is a neo-noir crime film that, depending on which version you watch, as there are two versions in this release, is either 105 minutes or 103 minutes long. And it stars the likes of Robert Duvall, who we've obviously talked about in another Arrow video release that came out earlier this month in the form of Falling Down. Also stars Karen Black, who was in Let's Family Plot, Burnt Offerings, Capricorn 1, and the 1986 version of Invaders from Mars. We've also got Joel Don Baker, who we've recently talked about as well in the similar kind of film to this, Framed, which came out a couple of years after this. Then you've also got Robert Ryan, who was in like a Bad Day at Blackrock, The Setup, The Wild Bunch, and The Professionals. This is definitely a later career effort from him. And then in supporting roles, you've got a really good cast as well, in like the form of Timothy Carey, Richard Yeagle, Cherise North, and Jane Greer. So yeah, overall a really good cast. So Earl Macklin is a professional thief. Once upon a time, he and his brother Eddie robbed a bank together. Unfortunately, that bank was owned by a criminal syndicate known as the Outfit. Now, Eddie is dead, and it looks like Earl will be next, but the Outfit hasn't counted on Earl's iron will and hunger for revenge. So, I am quite frankly a big fan of gritty 70s thrillers. French Connection, The Seven Ups, Rolling Thunder, Framed, which we, like I said, talked about earlier. So, and this is another really rather good effort in that kind of same kind of wheelhouse. Now, sure, it isn't the best of them. You know, French Connection is going to still be one of the all-time greats in that regard, but I certainly have seen far worse. Now, the cast is great. The action scenes are riveting. The pacing is on point. The violence is well executed. There is plenty of effective tension, especially when Duvall and Baker are, you know, take hitting these organized crime syndicate parts of their whole organization. So they're hitting, poker joints, um, you know, bookies and such and such. So yeah, there's really good execution in the tension in the areas where they're hitting these parts of this organization. The production is also solid. The tone is relatively downbeat, but not crushingly so. The score is good, and it is a generally engaging, albeit unchallenging film. So overall, a 4 out of 5, and yeah, a really solid one as well. So there is, like I said, two different versions on this release. It's not a major difference between them. It is just the ending at the end of the day, and the ending is, in terms of the shorter version, is slightly cut down from the longer version, and now the shorter version is the alternate version. It's not the one that was generally released to cinemas, I believe. But I do prefer the longer version, to be honest. It's just a bit more satisfying in a way, whereas the shorter version is a little bit more ambiguous and perhaps a little bit darker. But nonetheless, the film has had a brand new restoration from the original 35mm camera negative by Arrow Films, and it does look really rather good. We've also got this new artwork, which has been commissioned by Tony Stella, who obviously has unfortunately passed away not long ago. Don't know how many more of his great work we're going to see in future releases, but it's nice to have another one of his. And yeah, it's a really good one. And then I've got the film on the disc itself, which continues with that new artwork. Then we have what I believe is more along the lines of the original artwork on the reverse. That is one scene in which Robert Duvall actually hits a poker game and shoots one of the guy's hands. So he can't play poker so well anymore. We also have a booklet with this release. So that is Duvall torturing a guy that had just tried to kill him. And then we've got Karen Black on the reverse. And then inside the booklet, we got cast and crew. Then you got On Parker, Last of the Goddamned Independence by Priscilla Page, Getting the Feeling Right, The Stark World of John Flynn's The Outfit by Glenn Kenny, then Richard Stark's The Outfit by Chris D, and then about the presentation and production credits as well, alongside shots from the film as well. So that's the three leads that I talked about there. Not sure if we've got a picture of Robert Ryan in here or not. Yeah, that's part of one action scene as well, by the way, which is really rather quite good. And then about the presentation as well. So, like I said, it was restored by Arrow Films and is presented in its original aspect ratio of 1.85:1 with mono sound. Looks and sounds perfectly good. It doesn't need a new sound option, to be honest. Then you got the original 35mm camera negative was scanned at 4K 16-bit resolution at Warner Brothers Motion Picture Imaging. Now, the alternate ending was sourced from a 35mm IP element. The film was restored and graded in 2K resolution at Duplictech. There's not much difference, like I said, though, between the endings, so I doubt there was much work that needed to be done there. And the mono soundtrack was restored by Bad Princess Productions. So yeah, solid book there. And then in terms of on the disc itself, we've got original lossless mono audio, optional English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, brand new audio commentary by critic and author Jediah Aries and film critic Mike White of the Production Booth podcast. The Man with the Getaway Face, a brand new appreciation of author Donald E. Westlake, aka Richard Stark, by Westlake expert Levi Stahl. Paths Not Taken, a brand new appreciation of the film by critic Walter Chaw. Tapping into the Outsider, a brand new featurette on the outfit and the Parker novels by Elisa Marmot-Sennett and Shay Dennis, creators of Tough Business, a Parker site. Archival interview with filmmaker Walter Hill on director John Flynn. Walter Hill obviously doing another gritty 70s film in the form of The Driver. And then the theatrical trailer and image galleries. So, yeah, all in all, a really rather solid effort and one that I really rather enjoyed. I kind of figured I would, given I've been a fan of Robert Duvall and the other cast members before, and I'm obviously into this kind of film genre from the 70s as well. So yeah, all in all, I had expectations that were already in mind, but quite frankly, they were met and then some. So yeah, overall, a pretty solid effort. It's probably not the one that's going to get the most amount of attention from the recent Arrow video releases, because obviously we've had Falling Down on 4K. I'm going to review Soylent Green on 4K in the future as well. So there are definitely more fancier and probably bigger, named films out there that might well get the attention. But this overall is a really rather good one. And yeah, quite frankly, if you're a fan of 70s gritty crime thrillers, then don't sleep on this. So yeah, highly recommended. But if you have seen The Outfit before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.